Hi, this is Asim.
This is Sujoy.
This is Amrita.
And you're listening to Khandaan, a Bollywood podcast about the three main Khans of the Hindi film industry.
Amir,
Salman,
and Shara.
Hi, you're listening to Khandaan, a Bollywood podcast regular feed. Thank you so much for your support over the years. We now have a Patreon channel with bonus content and exclusive merch for those of you who would like to support us. Every dollar goes towards creating more and better content. Visit us at patreon.com/Khandaan podcast.
Hi and welcome to a new episode of Khandaan Podcast. My name is Asim Bernie and I'm joined with my lovely co-host Amrita and Sujoy. Hey Amrita, hey Sujoy.
Hey everybody.
Hello.
We are talking, our main review this episode is going to be Jigra, but there's a lot of other stuff happening, so let's get into it a little bit. I want to address this one comment on YouTube that we got. And I'll say YouTube is probably not the best place to read the comment section on because it's usually just toxic and negative. And also I think this one is too a little bit, but I just wanted to address it quickly. So this was on the Devara episode, right. And I made like a comment about there's only Film Companion and us doing decent film criticism. I don't know if you guys remember it. I say so much bullshit that it probably came into your head and you guys forgot about it. But this person said there are several other podcasts that are not rubbish, dissecting and analyzing movies, The Long Take, Love of Cinema, IVM Pop, News Laundry, Awful and Awesome, Just Saying, We Are It After THR India Film, and We Are the Only Good Thing is so distasteful. Unsubscribe, thanks. So that was a comment.
Okay.
Which I'm fine. Unsubscribe, it's fine. I don't think you were subscribed, to be honest, because I've never heard of you. But I do want to say, I think I went a bit too far on that comment. I was probably being frustrated about, other things. And the thing is that I was thinking about a lot of our own friends are doing good things, and with my comment, I just dismissed all of our friends and I thought that wasn't cool of me. So I just wanted to address it and apologize and say, yeah, that one was a bit far, especially because I've said, and I'm not joking, when I clearly was joking. But again, yeah, I should have edited it out. It wasn't like a cool comment to make. So I just wanted to say it, I know you guys all feel I'm perfect and super eloquent and only say, the bestest takes. But I'm not. I'm only human. I just want to apologize for that. Second thing I also want to apologize about is I made fun of the people in Manchester that who the hell would go to...
For the Aditya Chopra DDLJ musical.
So I want to apologize to the people of Manchester. I hear you are good people.
Today's episode is going to be Asim apologizing for all the wrongs that he's done over 249 episodes of Khandaan Podcast.
Yeah, no, this is as much apology you can get, but I didn't want to say those two things. I thought it was
Asim does a lot of nonsense. Yeah. But having said that, we have been doing this podcast since 2017, and it's really frustrating that we are going nowhere when it comes to revenue, and that's probably where it all stems from. Throw us some money, people.
Sign up to Patreon. But no, I just felt bad for our friends. People that are our friends, that are doing good things, that are in the same boat as us. They don't get the appreciation that we don't get, and so I just wanted to kind of say it was more an apology for my friends than that are doing content and writing and doing great work. Than actually the podcast he mentions I didn't even know about. I don't even listen to those podcasts. So that's a beside the point. I'm really apologizing to my friends. That's the only thing I want to care about. Yeah,
That is possibly the worst apology that I've heard. I was with you up until I'm sorry to our friends, and then you were just you just ruined it. You're just a creature of habit, Asim.
I am a man. Incapable of delivering a decent apology, however good intentions I have. I'm too alpha, guys. It's the hip ratio. Okay, shall we start with the show?
Yeah.
Two trailers drop. Let's go into Singham. Singham again, right? Singham 3
Yes.
Yeah.
again.
शो कैसा था तुम्हारा?
इट वॉज ग्रेट। कल हमारी रामलीला में राम जी 14 साल के वनवास के लिए निकलेंगे।
आपको सीरियसली ऐसा लगता है कि राम जी सीता माँ को लेने ऑल द वे लंका गए थे 3000 किलोमीटर दूर?
ऑफ कोर्स, इट्स अ फैक्ट। तुम्हारी जनरेशन को तो ट्रू लव का कॉन्सेप्ट ही नहीं समझ आता।
तो अगर कभी आपको किसी रावण टाइप कैरेक्टर ने किडनैप कर लिया तो डैड आप जाओगे मॉम को बचाने?
गूगल पे बाजीराव सिंघम टाइप कर ले, पता चल जाएगा तेरा बाप चीज क्या है। जिससे नफरत करता है और जिससे प्यार करता है उसके लिए कहीं भी जा सकता है। भारत की यह प्रथा रही है, सीता मां का हरण हुआ तो लंका जली है। इतिहास खुद को दोहराने वाला है। एक वचन के लिए वो लंका जलाने वाला है।
It dropped. It's like a 4-minute 50 trailer. It's like super long. One of the longest trailers I've seen.
Almost 5 minutes.
And it feels like they've told us the entire story in the trailer. But yeah, does this version of the Bollywood Avengers excite you, Sujoy? Like this should be appealing to you, right?
Yes, Sujoy, as the Rohit Shetty enthusiast on the podcast, how do you feel?
I think I was the one. No, I think it was Assam. I don't know if he's going to apologize for this in the next episode or not, but he was the one who coined the phrase Rohit Shetty. But I am I do not claim to be the Rohit Shetty enthusiast. Sorry, Amrita. But oh my God, this trailer was like, I could feel myself aging through the trailer when I was watching it, I don't know what the point of this trailer is. Why reveal all the cameos? Is it like, where is the art of making trailers gone, right? And 5 minutes of trailers, and like there were a lot of jokes going on after this trailer came out, like, oh, Rohit Shetty ne short film banaya hai, and all of that, yeah, what was the question? How do I feel about it?
Sujoy was mentally going over that trailer and he lost track of time. He's like, where am I? Main kaun hu? Main kahan hu?
Honestly, like, what do I make of it? Like, A, I'm not excited about the Cop universe. B, I'm not excited about Singham as a franchise. C, I'm not excited about any of the people involved. Even Deepika is not, like, this is Deepika's first movie appearance since Jawan, and I'm not happy to see her on screen as a cop and giving those terrible lines.
She was in Kalki. You've forgotten about Kalki.
Thank God I forgot about Kalki. And then there's Tiger Shroff. And the most like tragic part is that all of these cops are assembling to kill Arjun Kapoor, and yeah, that in itself is a joke.
Have you not seen Arjun Kapoor's career? He refuses to die, Sujoy. Do you not get it? Like, kab se kaam kar raha hai, khatam nahi ho raha hai, He is unkillable, clearly. Amrita, this was... I want to hear your thoughts.
This is right up your alley.
Yeah, this is a movie that has me written all over it, doesn't it? What really struck me about this movie is that Ranbir Kapoor is out there, he's like, I've given up
Ranveer
eating.
or Ranbir?
No, Ranbir.
Oh, Ranveer. Oh, right.
He's he's playing Ram in the Ramayana, and he's like, I've given up eating meat. I don't smoke. I don't drink. मैं पूजा करता हूँ. He's been saying all these things, and then Bebo is like, yes, I make mutton every day in my house. I'm married to this Muslim. I'm raising like 2 Muslim children, and also I am now Sita Mata. And just randomly just shows up like, Yeah, of course I'm Sita. Like, what else would I be? And look at me, I'm fabulous. It's such a Bebo move. I adore her. But and also, this is a great plug for the Kareena essay that's dropping this week. So if you are listening to this episode, head over to YouTube, and the episode should hopefully be up by now.
Can I spoil one line from your essay because I love it so much? There's a line in the essay that you'll hear where Amrita says, uh, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, is that Kareena is impossible to ignore in a shot. Because wherever she's standing, your eye will automatically go here. And there's here in this trailer, there's a shot where Deepika and Kareena are in a car together. It's like a Fast and Furious shot. And literally, the focus is on Deepika, right? But your eye still goes to Kareena, and Kareena is not in focus. And I was just thinking of that essay because it's like such a superpower this lady has. Like, and it's Deepika. Like, Deepika is magnificent, right? But
Yeah.
next to Bebo is Bebo gonna Bebo. Like it's crazy. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of like, because it resonated me while I was watching the trailer, that shot.
I just don't understand this kind of filmmaking in the year 2024. Like, this is so last decade, like if this movie had come out in 2016 or something, I think this would have been a huge hit. In 2024, it just feels very dated. Maybe it'll make like 500 million rupees, and people will be like, well, what do you know? And maybe all of that is true, but it just feels kind of desperate coming from Rohit Shetty, whose last movie was Circus and was a colossal flop.
Suryavanshi.
No, it was Circus with Ranveer, and
Suryavanshi with Akshay, wasn't that? Or maybe that was after
Circus
Pandey.
came after Suryavanshi,
okay.
right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter because Suryavanshi was also like ridiculous. But this just seems like a collection of people whose careers in free fall have come together to make a movie. Like, okay, you don't like me, but like, what if I'm here with my other five flop friends? And the two women who are in this movie are obviously Kareena and Deepika, as we said, and they're obviously magnificent. But I have a sneaking feeling that like if this movie tanks, they're going to blame the two of them for some reason. It's going to eventually become like Kareena and Deepika's fault if this movie doesn't work. I'm just calling that out here right now because, and I'll get into this later when we discuss Jigra. But one of the things that I was telling a friend of mine is that woman hate is eternal. It's just that the target keeps changing with every movie that's released. And it's just, I don't know. Are you gonna watch this? Are either of you gonna watch it? Because I don't think I am.
I think it's a
I'm gonna
Diwali
watch it.
release. I'm gonna watch it. It's going to be
I'm gonna watch
a
it.
Diwali. Yeah.
Before I get into my thoughts, I want to hear also about the Sri Lanka angle in this movie, right? Like they're clearly going to Sri Lanka, right, to get Arjun Kapoor. Is that because I'm confused about the politics of what they're trying to say and not trying to say? Like, are they attacking Pakistan or are they attacking Sri Lanka? Because they're being very like they're attacking somebody, right? Like, there's this sketch in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where they're like, who is this versus? Like, what's the point of it if it's not versus somebody? And Rohit Shetty movies are like that. Like, if it's not versus somebody, what does it mean? So it is versus Pakistan or Sri Lanka, right? But I wasn't really 100% because I was like, maybe the whole Ramayana angle is that he's going to Sri Lanka, they're showing that that bridge between India and Sri Lanka, and he's dressed also a certain way, and then she's playing Shakti Shetty, right, Deepika. So but then it's Rohit Shetty, so he has to hit on Pakistan and Muslims. Like, he can't like control himself, right? So I don't know what you guys thought. Am I just confusing things, and did I not understand his
I mean,
opaqueness?
who knows really? I mean, I don't expect like internal logic from a Rohit Shetty project, so I have no idea whatsoever. It could
My
be.
guess is probably because he's got so much hate or online chatter about how deeply Islamophobic or Pakistan hating his previous movies have been, he's going to dial that down, and this is going to be just some sort of internal conflict between this villain who probably resides in Sri Lanka, and that's where that whole Ramayana angle is being played, that he's a Ravan and he's kidnapped Sita Mata, and that whole monologue between the child and Ajay Devgan and everything. That's probably how it's going to play out. Speaking of the Ramayana angle, it just feels like bait at this point. Like, please be a nice Hindu and watch our movie. It's such a it's bait pretty much. Like, if you don't watch this, you're not a good Hindu kind of a movie.
I don't think he listened to the online chatter. I think the more thing
true.
was that Fighter flopped, or Fighter didn't do as well as it did. I think that's a bigger factor than anything else for anybody. I mean, I'll be honest, I am kind of excited to see all of these people together. Literally, it's like, the Divangi of shitty action movies. So I want to kind of go and watch that. It's never going to happen again. I was even oh, look at Tiger Shroff shoot a machine gun like he's a ballerina, he's like doing that kind of thing. He gets no dialogues. I think, but it's just the obviousness of the filmmaking, right? Like, they give you every beat.
Yeah.
They tell you, who he is, and he's Lakshman, and he's, this guy and that guy, and I don't even know the names, but I understand who Ranveer is playing, and I know who Tiger Shroff is playing, I know who Bebo is playing. So it's a very, easy fix to kind of understand that. The thing, what kind of bothered me though, is the repetition of it. There's shots and jokes that we've seen in Suryavanshi already that are kind of getting replayed. Like that, there's a shot where they're all surrounding Bebo and they're shooting their guns. And Suryavanshi had the same shot with Katrina in the middle, and they were shooting their guns. It was the exact same shot. And then it also has the exact same joke of Singham or whatever, where Ranveer is like, oh, helicopter pe aayega. But we've had that joke already. This is your big joke again. So I was like, wait, what's going on even, Okay, this is beside the car flipping, and that's okay. That's his handle. That's what he does. Fine. But at least add a new joke in it. Right? The Akshay Kumar helicopter thing is from, Khiladiyon Ka Khiladi or whatever. That's like old news, like make him Padman or something. Update the joke, I don't know. That thing didn't really work for me. I don't know. I like Arjun Kapoor kind of like doing something, like he's bringing kind of, I like Arjun Kapoor, so I kind of hope that something pans out for the poor fellow. Serious Bebo is funny. I just find it hilarious when she's playing like the serious character, like playing it straight. She can do it, but it's just funny.
And that too in a Rohit Shetty movie, which is like double the irony.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a very long trailer, and I do feel I've seen the entire movie, so I don't know what kind of surprises the movie will actually hold for me, or it will be exactly delivered what's on the box, like this is it, lelo. Nahi pasand to Rohit Shetty doesn't give a shit,
I'm looking forward. The poster itself looks like a straight to DVD Steven Seagal kind of a movie, to be honest. It's that bad. Ugh.
Yeah. I am looking forward to the Rohit Shetty interviews when he starts doing them, because I do appreciate the Rohit Shetty interviews more than I appreciate his movies, because he just doesn't give a shit, So I appreciate that.
It will be like the post the release. If the movie does well, he will be shitting on the critics. Like, my movie is critic proof. And if it does not do well, then he will be shitting on the critics again, saying, you guys don't get my work, and you have made the industry lose so much money by shitting on my movie.
Yeah. But he also shits on actors and things like that. I just like that part. Like, I enjoy his interviews, like, So, yeah.
Asim just is an agent of chaos.
Exactly.
I just want to know what happened between him and Shah Rukh, because that's a good story.
Yeah, Dilwale happened. I mean, it's like, such a bad movie, Dilwale.
FYI.
Yeah, just for a moment. Yeah. No, the thing is, because I was my daughter was watching a lot of like Shah Rukh Kajol movies, so I was like, let's give Dilwale another shot. Like it has Kriti, she likes Kriti too, but it was hard to just sit through that movie, man. Like it's like everything that you know and like about these people, I'm gonna take it away, and it's like, what are we then watching? What's the reason to watch this movie? Anyway, second trailer that dropped was Bhool Bhulaiya 3.
रक्तघाट के इतिहास का वो काला सच जहां सिंहासन की लालच में सदियां बीत गई और इस सिंहासन में झुलस रहा अतीत आज भी जिंदा है।
बेवकूफ है दुनिया जो भूतों से डरती है। इन भूतियों का तो फायदा उठाना चाहिए।
भाभी, आपके गले में क्या है?
ये तो एनिवर्सरी गिफ्ट है।
इससे तो सीधा मौत होगी भाई।
ये शापित है, ये शापित है, ये भी शापित है। अगर सपने पे मेरा बस चलता तो तुम्हारे बारे में कैसे
which was also creating quite a bit of chatter online, right? Amrita, what did you think of that trailer?
I mean, I don't care about the trailer. I just care about Vidya and Madhuri together. Like that's all I care about.
Yeah.
This movie could be trash with the fire of 1,000 suns, and I would still watch it because it has Vidya and Madhuri in it.
Sujoy?
Yeah, I want Dola Re Dola, the horror edition in the Mahal. I'm definitely looking forward to the dance of horror. I saw a tweet saying, comparing Vidya from Monjulika from the first movie, and then the way she's shot in this, and somebody tweeted, name a bigger downgrade, and I'm like, what the are you talking about? Like, how dare you? I am very, very excited to see Vidya back in this universe. But I really want Akshay Kumar to be in this movie.
It should, right? Like, it's so weird that he's not in this. Like, this deserves a cameo.
And I cannot get over the fact that Kartik Aaryan is just cosplaying through this. It doesn't feel like he is actually in a movie. It just feels like, I'm not convinced of him as an...
I have no memory of Bhool Bhulaiya 2. Like, I cannot tell you what the plot was. But was Kartik Aaryan playing like a clinical psychologist like Akshay was in the first one? He's just a guy, right?
He's basically a fake clairvoyant is what he's playing.
Oh.
So he tells people like
he's a scammer.
Yeah.
And then I think shit gets real in the first one, right? Yeah.
Oh, okay. There were also a lot of people, like, oh, look at what they did to Madhuri and stuff like that. I don't know if you saw those reactions on Twitter. And I was watching the trailer after I read the reactions, and I was like, you could never make Madhuri ugly for me. It's just not possible. It's just not possible. It's like, that meme where they say, hear me out. I was like, Madhuri in horror. I was like, hear me out. She's amazing, like it's, and I think she's just having fun now. She just does whatever she wants to do.
Yeah.
And that's fine, like, I didn't like the second one necessarily, so this one I'm not gonna watch probably. Like, I'm not gonna watch this in theater, I think.
What are you saying? You're not excited about an Anis Bazmee movie?
yeah, exactly. I mean, I've not been in have you ever heard Anis Bazmee's interviews, by the way?
No, I haven't. Thankfully.
Dude, he's such like a well-spoken, smart man. Like, speaks so well. And then he makes these movies. I was like, what's going on, man? Like, where does all of that intelligence go? I don't know. Tripti Dimri is in this too. So, who's the actress in the second one? Was it Kiara Advani?
Tabu.
And
Kiara, right?
Kiara, yeah.
It's always interesting when they just like nix an actress. Like, is Kiara not hot property anymore. Like we need to still upgrade to Tripti Dimri. It's just so fascinating when
I think it's the other way around. I think like Kiara is too, like she's on a different level from Kartik Aaryan these days.
You think?
Yeah.
Is Kartik Aaryan not hot anymore? Is he not hot shit?
I mean, he like his last one, the Alava Vaikunta Purumalo remake, didn't really work really well.
Right.
So
Yeah, this one I'm not that interested in necessarily. Like I will probably, this is gonna be is it coming out soon too? Is it with Singham that it's coming out, or when is it coming out? Oh, it's the same weekend or something.
yeah, it's a Diwali release.
Yeah. Okay. Probably gonna go to Singham instead of BHULAIYYA. Yeah. What? Sorry?
Yeah, it is a Diwali release as well. No, before Shehzada, after Shehzada, he made Satya Prem Ki Katha and Chandu Champion, both of which did not do well.
No, Satya Prem was a big hit. Satya Prem was a big hit. Yeah. Chandu Champion did okay because they were comparing it with 83. So it was kind of okay, but I think the budget was too high for that one, so they didn't make it back. But imagine Diwali weekend, man, like having to watch these two movies. Like, what kind of celebration is that?
But Amrita, just one question: were there any sequels to the Malayalam original to Bulbulaya, or that was the self-contained story, and then they just were disappointed with the remakes and the sequels that happened?
I think I read somewhere about there being a sequel, but I don't think I've ever seen it. And it came out like years later because wait, I'm just looking it up because I don't think. Yeah, there was a spin off titled Geetanjali that came out in 2013. And this one was directed by Priyadarshan and it had Mohanlal reprising his role as Sunny.
Right.
And Suresh Gopi, who played Shiny Ahuja's role in the Malayalam original. He came as a cameo appearance as well, apparently.
Right.
But I've never seen Geetanjali. I don't know what that is.
Is there a sequel to Chandramukhi?
I don't know because I try to forget that Chandramukhi existed.
So what was the original one? Was the Mohanlal version?
Yeah.
So also because I saw a lot of people kind of complain about this, like the first one was so amazing and now look what they've done to our franchise. Like, look what they did to our boy, that kind of thing. But what do you feel about that? Like, how long can somebody own a property when it's been, adapted and sold and the rights are gone? Like, do you feel people have still a right to complain about it?
And people gonna complain. Kuch to log kahenge. Logo ka kaam hai kehna.
Yeah. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think like Malayalis in particular get like really precious about Mancha Tatara. They're just like, we created art and then like you people defiled it. It's a movie. It's fine,
It's a movie.
And also, Sujoy, you're right. There was a sequel to Chandramukhi. I can't believe I forgot it. It's the one with Kangana Ranaut. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
And that was on.
Right. Yeah, I just thought that argument was like the weirdest one about look what they did to our content. Like I don't even feel it was that high art. Like, it was fine. Like, I never saw the original one, but I'm assuming the first one was a straight remake adaptation. I mean, it was fine.
No,
it wasn't.
It was no, because the Malayalam original. It's interesting because like for a long time because it was such a commercial success, I don't think people really sat down and like analyzed the film and like what it means. And then of late more people have been like talking about it and sort of like trying to decipher because it wasn't written the way that the remakes in the different languages have come out. Like the remakes have all been very commercial movies, and that is not precisely the tone that Manichitta has. So it's talking about like nature versus nurture. It's talking about the supernatural versus the psychological. Like all those themes are there, but they're much more pronounced in Malayalam. And also, there's this entire thing where the writer of that film was trying to talk about sexuality as well, which is absolutely absent in all the remakes. And I think a lot of people didn't particularly understand that about the original either when they saw it. But in the original, there's this theme about, so the Shiny and Vidya characters in Malayalam are called Ganga and Nakulan, and there's this whole thing about, it's played very subtly, but there is this hint that Ganga is basically she's trying to get, like, Ganga and Nakulan don't have an intimate relationship as such, either emotionally or physically. And Nakulan keeps pushing her away every time she tries to initiate any kind of intimacy. And Ganga feels attracted to the poet, the one that's living in Nagavali's old lover's house. She feels attracted to that man much before she finds out that he lives in that house, or that he is the fiance, or that or she discovers about Nagavali, or any of those things. So the whole Nagavali possession thing could also be her listening to that tale and then using that, like latching on to that story as a reasonable explanation for her feelings for this man that she feels is wrong. Is this whole thing that happens. It's such a layered movie, and it's one of my favorite movies ever in any language.
Okay, so worthwhile checking out then.
Yes.
I thought it was like a straight remake. Okay. But how's the rap song though, Amrita?
But also it has Shobana, and who's like a vile Sanghi now, and it just breaks my fucking heart. But Shobana is so good in this movie. Like, she is, like, beyond a doubt the best, like, Nagavali ever. Like, she's so good. Absolutely. Like, if you can see a subtitled version of this film, like, you should absolutely watch it.
Okay, cool. I'll try to check it out if it's available. Okay, cool. Let's get into the reviews of the movies that we watched. Control came out last week on Netflix. I think, Amrita, you didn't get a chance to watch it yet, right?
I have not. I've had plenty of chances. I just haven't utilized them. But I will. It's just been one of those weeks where social media has just been like so vile. I just can't deal with anything heavy at this moment.
Right. Directed by Vikramaditya Motwane. It stars Ananya Pandey, Vihan Samat. And it's the story of, so this is the IMDb plot summary. Nella and Joy are the perfect influencer couple, but when he cheats on her, she turns to an AI app to erase him from her life until it takes control. It's available on Netflix. Sujoy, what did you think of Control?
So I watched this movie quite late in the week after all the hype that was going around on Twitter and Instagram about how this is so scary and how it portrays the horrors of modern day life and how our data is being harvested and all of that. And I went into this with certain expectations, how it's going to turn out. I'm disappointed that Vikramaditya Motwane movie just drops like this without any sort of hoo-ha. Netflix just dropped this like just another indie movie. B, it did not necessarily address the horrors of what I expected this was going to be. Primarily because we are already in this living hellhole. B, it sort of talks about being terrified for these protagonists who I don't necessarily relate with, like the influencers. I'm not a prime audience of following influencers and their lives. And C, it takes place in a country like India where data leaks are dime a dozen. Like, it's saying like reporting data leaks to the IT cell and all of that, but we live in a country where Aadhaar data just gets leaked every week. So, yeah, sure, this is trying to sort of maybe make people aware of, where your personal data can be used and how, and probably the evils of a monopoly where a company, it's possibly pointing towards someone like Geo, which has stakes in like shopping, getting your shopping data, but also your payment data and everything, and they have all control over your identity online. And if you cannot circumvent that by if there is only one player in the market. But yeah, I know what these things are, and like, yeah, I'm not sure exactly. Like, I don't sympathize with anything that's happening. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's the main problem that I had with the movie is like, what is the larger point we're making here?
Yeah.
And that part I didn't get necessarily. I'm sure it's trying to say like technology is all around us and we've basically opted in and there's no opting out anymore, and we willingly opt in every time.
Yeah.
So I think that's the larger point it's trying to make. I don't know what to do with that necessarily. That's like, seems like very, yeah, okay. And then it it feels to me like Black Mirror season 8. So not the first good seasons, but like the 8th
Yeah.
season. So it has like some ideas, it has some thoughts, and look at how scary technology is. But I'm not getting something more out of it or something new necessarily. But I do think it's a really good movie though. It's has a I just like the concept of making this, like kind of having that searching, if you've seen Searching,
Yeah.
where it's like through
John
that
Cho.
one point of view. This movie doesn't necessarily adhere to those strict. I mean, it's not treating as like Dogma 95, right? Like it has to be this way. It breaks out of that format quite a few times, and I think that's fine. It doesn't need to be that restrictive. They also probably had a larger budget and a bigger thing like that. I also think the performances are really good. I stopped calling Ananya Pandey Naya Panda after Gehraiya on the
Yeah.
show, and she continues to be doing great work.
Yeah.
I was watching it and I was like, man, it's such a challenge for an actress in a way, right? Because I've been watching a lot of older movies lately. Like I watched Tezab. We'll be talking about it on our next episode. Maybe it's a Patreon exclusive. I'm not sure yet. But it's Madhuri is playing a character, a person that is kind of real, right? Here, Ananya is playing a person that is a fake person online, but then she also has to play a real person within the same confines, right? Because none of us are real when we're on social media. It's a version of us, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a tough challenge as an actor to do, right? Like playing that kind of variables where the hurt is real. And they do ask that question, like when the breakup happens, were we in a relationship just for the likes?
Yeah.
And there is something very profound. But I also feel a lot of those themes were also addressed in Kho Gaye Hum Kahan, right? So they were kind of touching on those. But the problem here is because there's such an influencer couple, a lot of times they're making vlogs, they're making reels, and the artifice of it seeps through. I don't feel the performances at that moment feel 100% genuine. And it's also because they're recreating moments, right? Like if something works, if you have an audience with influencers, and I'm not, again, I like you, Sujoy, I'm not an influencer guy, but I feel their secret is being able to genuinely connect with their audience. But here you're creating that connection artificially. And I feel that's where the movie starts stressing, and mostly is when they have that song Mera Boyfriend Hai from Yashraj Mukhate, I think his name is. And he does a lot of these, like Chane Cooker Mein Dal Do. He got viral with that, like a few of those other things. But here he's clearly being paid to create that moment, right? And the song doesn't hit the way Chane Cooker Mein Dal Do hits, right? Like it doesn't hit the way I think he did like a Wow, or he did a Party Oriye. Like he's done a few of those, and those hit because they're genuine moments. Here it feels like a commissioned moment, and I could feel it. I don't know if everybody else could, but for me, because I'm slightly older, I can see that kind of there the movie breaks a little for me. But I think overall it's a really good movie. I mean, this is like small complaints I might have. I think Ananya does a great job. She has a lot of screen presence, and I mean, she speaks to, I guess, she has a connect with younger people, and I think she's doing Call Me Bae. She's doing this. She's really, doing a good job at the moment, and I think she feels realer, like a real person, more than even Janvi does at the moment. Like Janvi is doing filmy roles, whereas Ananya is doing real roles with real problems. And there's something about that too, that I find very fascinating to watch. But yeah, I like Control. I think Amrita. I don't think this should have been a theatrical release. To be honest, I think this is very firmly a streaming movie, and I think this is one of those movies that people even could watch on Netflix that are not Bollywood speakers, or they watch a platform like the Spanish horror movie, or they watch like a Korean drama, and it's like they'll just click on it. I think also the visuals of it, the way it's presented on Netflix, the poster image of it, I think that could actually this is actually a really good streaming Netflix movie, to be honest. And I think if you watch it, you should go in it with those expectations that I'm not going to watch a theatrical movie. This is kind of a Black Mirror-ish Indian take with Ananya Pandey to it.
I would say one thing though, that it's a double-edged sword to present a movie in this sort of aesthetic, which is obviously through a screen capture of whatever's happening on the screen, right? On mobiles, on a desktop, on a browser, and the webcams and everything like that, right? Often, like I've watched a few TV episodes happen like this. I've watched Searching the sequel following, I think. Both of them presented in this way, and only very few get it right. And because it's very hard to sustain your audience attention when it's presented in this way. But I would give absolute props to one particular scene here where Ananya's character is trying to get into her boyfriend's account, and it goes through like multiple layers of forgotten passwords and resetting and OTPs, and I was like, I feel you. I totally feel you. And that was great, I would say.
But Sujoy, all your passwords are Sujoy69 lover, so it's easy to hack you. Amrita.
In the next episode, Asan is going to apologize to all 69 lovers.
But not to Sujoy. Amrita, you watched it in Call Me Bae for an episode, right? What do you think of my theory of her playing kind of like realer characters?
Yeah, I actually was thinking about that as you were talking, because I think that's very true. I think she's carving out a niche for herself in the film industry that is not your traditional Bollywood heroine. She is perhaps the first Gen Z heroine that we have. She's still like, she's very Bollywood, but she's doing it like the subjects that she's choosing, the characters that she's choosing, they're a lot more relatable than anything that Sarah or Janvi or any of those people have done in the past 5 years. And that's very interesting to me, because Janvi in particular has tried really strongly to create a career for herself that is in that space where she's playing real characters, quote unquote. But because
The situations are so elevated though with
yeah,
Janvi, right?
exactly.
Like she
Yeah.
wants to, and the thing with Janvi is, sorry, I'm cutting off. She wants to be a heroine. Like look at her in Devara. That's where she shines. But those movies are not being made. The movies that are kind of being made are these Ananya Pandey movies, right? Like that's
Yeah.
what the industry is kind of going for. But
I mean,
yeah,
how real can you be when you are Sridevi's freaking daughter? You know, like she has those Sridevi genes. Like when she appears on screen, we see her as this not real person. She's just too cinematic. You know, visually, the face card, the mannerisms, it's so filmy for me. I totally dissociate with the like real person. I can't hang out with Janvi, is what I feel. You know, um,
I could totally hang out with Janvi. I think we'd have a great time.
No, but I see what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
it's not that Ananya is homely, but
mm,
she, like the minimal makeup,
mhm.
the surgeries aren't that in your face, the body isn't that spectacular. Whereas, like, Janvi is very much a like a big screen sort of face and body, and that physicality is very much interfering with the gharelu kinds of roles that she's trying to do. Like, we had this conversation when we were discussing that movie that she did with Varun Dhawan, the Holocaust one. And he kept talking about how ill she was, and all of us were just like, excuse me, what? Like, on what planet do you look at Janvi Kapoor and go like, ew? Like,
Yeah.
that's just ridiculous.
It's that, like, you know, when Helen Mirren stops her narration in Barbie and saying this movie would be
Yes.
more acceptable if Margot Robbie wasn't playing Barbie.
Exactly. We all were thinking it, like it was just like, obviously. And that's also the issue with the roles that Janvi plays. Like, it's very underlined that it is woman centric cinema. Like, there is a noble purpose to this movie, whereas Ananya's films, they don't really have like a noble purpose as such, whether it's
Hmm.
Gehnaiya or Call Me Bay or Kho Gaye Hum Kahan. No, Kho Gaye Hum Kahan, is that
Ho
what it's
gaye hum
called?
kahan, yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Huh. And or like, I haven't watched Control, but I would imagine, like, having seen other Vikramaditya Motwane movies, I would imagine that it's not trying to be a message movie, and it's not trying to be a preachy movie. It's just talking about a sliver of society, and the interesting issues that come through. And I think that's very smart. I think she's probably the smartest of the young lots, because she did the traditional thing, right? Like, she made her debut with a Karan Johar film. She did that movie with Tiger Shroff. Tiger Shroff? No.
Yeah, Student of the
Yeah.
Year was with Tiger Shroff.
Yeah, and then she did that movie with that taxi movie. What was it?
Kali Pili.
Kali Pili, exactly. She did all of that, and she figured out what was working for her and what wasn't, and that there was a little gap in the kinds of characters that were being portrayed on screen, and she just found that spot for herself. And kudos to her. Like, she's probably one of the smartest actors working in India at this moment.
I think Liger was the main switch, where that was the most heroine role she had, and
Yeah,
it didn't work at all. And
yeah,
I think it's funny how she's locked into this one theme that all of her good movies have been, is that she's the dumped girlfriend. Every time she gets cheated on or dumped, and I think that creates a connection with the audience she's speaking with. Whereas who would dump Janvi Kapoor, right? Like it's just not possible, right? So it always puts Janvi on kind of a higher level, it elevates her, and you hate who is higher than you. Where when you've been dumped on screen, every time you're like, hey, she's like us. So I think that's kind of the smart move. It's basically what Amitabh did with Angry Young Man, she's doing with the dumped woman. I feel like it's smart. There's a way to connect with audiences, and she's found it. So yeah, but is Call Me Way any good, Amrita? You watched it?
I really liked it.
Yeah.
It's not the smartest storytelling that you'll come across or anything, but again, it really capitalizes on who not on who Ananya Pandey is, but more our perception of who Ananya is. And she's really good at making you sympathize with her.
Yeah.
Even when she's like in the wrong. So in this particular one, like she screws up, but you have so much sympathy for that character, or at least I did, because she does, like she's not like a bad person. She's just a person who has been molded to be a certain type of way. And I think that is something that is that's very common or very universal for Desis, because we all grew up in an environment where our parents had certain expectations of us. And we all went through that period where we had to decide whether we are living a life that we have decided is good for us, or whether it's a life that has been decided for us, and whether we are willing to rock the boat and deal with the fallout that then happens. And that's who this character is. And she's funny. She's got like a really great sense of timing. And
Does she get cheated on?
no, she's actually the cheater.
She's the cheater. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, there's a connect there, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
one
yeah.
or the other. My wife watched it and she also really liked it. She liked that kind of has a bit of a Emily in Paris kind of vibe to it.
I think it's a very girly film. I mean, girly series. And again, like that is something that I really appreciate at a time when I feel like there's very little content being made for women in this country. And the content that is made for women is usually like super hypersexualized, or it tries to be very noble, or it's very preachy. Like it's always the extremes. It's never just like, hey, here's something funny, and it just exists, and there's no like deeper message. And I don't know, I just really liked it.
Yeah. Cool. Let's move on to our main review, which is Jigra.
माँ को भगवान ले गए, पापा ने खुद की जान ले ली, दूर के रिश्तेदार ने पनाह दी और भारी किराया वसूल किया। छोड़ना भाटिया सब, कहानी बहुत लंबी है और भाई के पास वक्त बहुत बहुत कम।
बहुत कम तो उड़ा देते हैं ना साली जेल की दीवारें।
फूलों का तारों का सबका कहना है, एक हजारों में मेरी बहना है, सारी उम्र हमें संग रहना है, फूलों का तारों का।
So that was the trailer for Jigra. This is a movie in theaters now. It's directed by Vasan Bala. It stars Alia Bhatt, Vedang Raina, Manoj Pawa, and it is, the IMDb plot says, it is a heart-wrenching tale of a sister taking on the world to avenge her brother. Their odyssey of reunification tests their bonds, their morals, and their inner strength. Who wouldn't set the world on fire to protect what's theirs? We were quite hyped for this one. Like, we saw the trailers, we were looking at the poster design, we knew it was Vedang Raina and Alia Bhatt and Vasan Bala. It's like a combination we hadn't like thought of. So Sujoy, man, did Jigra live up to your expectations?
I had the most cautiously optimistic expectations out of the three of us, I believe. I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting it to be an action thriller on which it sort of scores a 6 out of 10, I would say. I think the emotional beats of this movie is what I take back from the movie. Obviously because it's Alia Bhatt and her performance is absolutely like stirring. It really, was heart-wrenching to see her go through all the beats in this movie. But I'm also somewhat disappointed with the way this movie, plans out and the writing of this movie. I think we've sort of briefly talked about it, but we'll get into that. And so overall, I'm neither here nor there. It's a solid 3.5 or somewhere less than that for me, out of 5. I wanted this movie to be a lot better because of the talent involved, and I'm just slightly disappointed with the way it is. I'm not as positive about this movie after I've watched it.
I think this is what frustrates me about this movie too. I really liked it, but I really wanted to love it. And that's my frustration with it. But I want to hear from Amrita, because Amrita is one of our people that does not want to go viral. But anything she does, she goes viral, says, F you guys, I'm out of here. I'm muting this. Follow Khandaan. So, Amrita, what very innocuous thing did you say that got you the ire of all the men in India towards you? Was it men or was it everybody?
It's men. It's absolutely men. And
we apologize, Amrita.
You should. I feel like all men should apologize.
You want another apology from me? Heartfelt.
Yes. You should also apologize. Let me just read out my tweet. Everyone, please go watch Jigra and save us from the quote, "Why is Bollywood so mediocre?" discourse. That was it.
That was it. That's it.
I have 96 retweets, 587 likes, and I can't even see like how many, like 30 replies or something, and about 20 of those are just people saying that you waste your money, I won't waste my money. Or my personal favorite is, oh, you liked it? Okay, but like this other critic, they don't like it. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do about that? It's not like, oh, how dare they not like something that I like. Like you're free to like whatever it is that you like. I like this movie. The first half I loved. I thought it was amazing. Like the emotional beats of that first half, where you really get to understand who these characters are and what drives them and who is Satya and the kinds of things that she does. And there are like a few things that Satya does as a character that I haven't even seen like male characters do in Hindi cinema. Like, for example, there are like times when she's so overwhelmed with what's happening that she can't even verbalize things, and in not like the over the top Bollywood kind of way, like like, oh, like I'm having a fit kind of a thing, but in a very like, I'm overwhelmed, I can't make sounds that translate into words right now. Like, and you see that in that very first 5 minutes of the film, where she's so angry at one of her cousins and she tells him to cover his face because she's gonna slap the shit out of him. And she just says, and she can't like tell him, so she just like keeps like putting her hands over her face. And it takes him like a minute to understand what she's trying to tell him. And then she just like beats him into the ground. And then you see that sort of like replicated much later in the film, when she is talking to Manoj Pawar, and they're so good together. Like Manoj Pawar and Alia have like amazing chemistry in this film. And they really like, they just like playing off each other. There's times when they just like their dialogue is just sort of overlapping. It's such a good dynamic. And there's a point where she wants him to give her his blessings. And this is after, like when they first meet, Manoj Pawar is obviously like, oh, like beta ye, beta wo. And she's just like, don't call me beta. I have
Yeah,
a
she
name.
rejects.
Like,
She
you
rejects it.
don't, yeah, you don't need to be like my father. Like, like I don't need that from you. And then at this end part where she's asking for his ashirwad, and she doesn't know how to verbalize it, and she again, like, like she's just like making the motion with her head. And she's like patting her head, and he's just like, what are you doing? And she's just like patting her head. And he finally understands. He's like, yes, like I give you my ashirwad, etc. Like, it's such a good performance. It is such a the relationships in this film, both inside and outside that prison, are so well etched. And there's such an economy to the storytelling when it comes to these characters and their lives. I loved it. And I also really enjoyed the fact that this is a woman, and she is on a mission, and there is no love interest. There is no, like, like she's not forced to be anybody's girlfriend. She is just a very like one note kind of person, and she's allowed to be that person. She's on a mission, and the movie starts with her, with the circumstances that lead to her going on that mission, and the movie ends with her having completed that mission. And that's basically that. And we don't get to see women do movies like that in any language. It's not even like an Indian thing. It's like in anything that, whether it's Hollywood, whether it's British cinema, we don't get to see women who have a mission to complete, and no part of that is romantic or, like a softer, more feminine side. And it's not about her trying to save her baby, which is like the other kind of, like, when women are given mission stories, is usually, I need to save my husband, I need to save my baby. This is not any of those things. This is her brother. It's her baby brother whom she's raised, and she's his avenging angel, and she's gonna go and she's gonna get him out of trouble, and that's basically it. And it's so refreshing, and I really hope that word of mouth picks up for this movie, because we're recording this on a Sunday, and the numbers aren't looking very good for this movie right now, and I am devastated for it, because this is the kind of storytelling that we need. And that having been said, like, the second half of the movie is pretty much a mess, because that's where the action kicks in, and I don't think this movie does a really good job of that part of it. But the first part is an all-time classic.
Yeah. I think we just need to acknowledge that it is amazing that this movie has been made. Like, it is so like, even if you say that we have criticism, and we will have criticism about this movie, I will be, and I just want to say it's amazing. And I was so happy for the first time that the Netflix logo appeared, because I want to rewatch this movie multiple times at home. Just having it on the background, this movie is so visually lush. Every scene is so, like, a beauty in photography that I have not seen in any kind of context. Like, like the way this place is presented, the way the little shots are made, even the way Alia Bhatt's face is lit. I don't know anything about skin routines, but I was like, she's glowing, man. Like, what is this? Like, what is this on her face? Is it just her face? But she looks amazing in it. Like, the world feels so different from anything we've seen before, but then it also adds a lot of these visual flourishes, a lot of these references that we do really know, that we can harken back to. Oh, Hans Landa is there, and they're referencing Kim Ki Duk and John Woo, and we know what you're doing with the Agnipath, so it kind of brings us back and brings that Bollywood masala in there too a little bit. We were talking when we were reviewing Bazi about how that movie so smartly plays on Amir's physicality. And I think this movie does the same thing. She's a tiny person, but she is taking on men, fights. She literally is extracting the guy. He's like, normally you see, Chris Hemsworth do this, go into a Ukrainian prison and bring somebody else out. Doing this with Alia Bhatt, who's like, 3 feet or something. Like it just adds a layer of storytelling, a layer of dangerousness to it that makes it so engrossing to watch it, right? And I think all of that is just amazing in Jigra. I think it's a really, really good movie, and I think if people haven't seen it yet, you will regret when it's on Netflix, and you will say, "I wish I saw this in theaters." And that's the kind of movie Jigra is, And I'm surprised to hear it's not doing well, because I don't go that much on Twitter anymore at the moment, because or I do, but the only thing I care about is freeing Palestine or free Palestine. So I don't care about, like, I can't even involve myself with any other conversations going on. It's literally the only thing I have such a one-track mind on it. So I don't. So I'm sad to hear that this movie isn't doing well. And I also wonder, but the information that we are getting, is it not doing well? How much is it because of this hate campaign that Divya Ghosla has certainly started with Alia Bhatt and Dharma Productions, right? Because I think, however you see it, T-Series, which is kind of like one of the biggest player in the market, also have a lot of money to spend on negative campaigns and negative press, and have their little coterie of journalists pushing certain...
Which is interesting, because T-Series also produced Animal, and Ranbir Kapoor is the husband of Alia Bhatt. I don't know what bridges Divya Khosla does not care about burning, because I think she has more to lose from it. No, I don't know.
It's such an odd one, and it's funny because, I mean, one of the reasons for the beef seems to be that Divya Ghosta made a movie, it's on Netflix, I think, called Savi, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. It's a remake of Russell Crowe movie where he's bringing out his wife out of jail. And
Proof of Life?
No, it's not Proof of Life. It's 3 days something.
Okay.
I'll Google it in the meantime. And then, because that's a prison make movie and Jigra is a prison make movie, it's like, oh, they stole our idea. Mm-hmm. But then that goes on the presumption that somebody has watched Savi, and I can guarantee you, nobody has watched Savi. So it's just a very odd beef to be taking.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Aukat mein reh ke baat kar.
Yeah.
But also, a lot of people seem to think that this is a remake of Gumrah because of the drugs angle. And as somebody who has seen Gumrah, unlike, like 90% of the children who are like tweeting about it, this is not Gumrah. Like, Gumrah is like a very different movie. It was about a very different sort of dynamic.
And that's why I asked that question about BHULAIYYA earlier, right? Like, how far do you want to take this idea, right? Like, Dabangg is a copy of Zanjeer? Is this how far we're taking it? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, both have a prison break angle to it. That's literally it, I don't know. I don't understand what the criticism or saying that these movies are similar or something like that. If you say Gumrah is similar to Ek Thi Hasina, I could still maybe find somewhere there, I guess. But even then, I don't know. It just seems like a nonsense beef to me. Amrita, what do you think of the beef?
Between Divya Khosla Kumar and Karan Johar. I mean, it's like choosing between shit and diarrhea, to be honest, because these are both like incredibly unlikable people. But here, like, I really do have to side with Karan, because, like, what is this woman's problem? I don't get it. If she is, I think she's just really mad that she doesn't get the recognition that she feels that she deserves.
As what? As an actress? Because she's
As
terrible.
a director, I think, because
she's a
she also
director too.
directed. Yeah, she directed that movie, I think. But also, like, how is she going around talking about nepotism when the only reason that her movies get made is because she's married to Bhushan Kumar? Like, there is like nobody in their right frame of mind would bankroll her projects, except for her husband. She's a terrible actress. She's a terrible director. And, like, I think the last project that she did was when she butchered Bangalore Days, and I think now she's banned in Kerala. Like, people are like, don't kill her. We're gonna, like, kill you. And she's but I remember, like, she's always been a little bit unhinged. Like, remember when Sonu Nigam had a beef with Bhushan Kumar, and then this woman, like, during the pandemic, I think this was during the pandemic, and she like videoed herself threatening him, or like screaming at, like, the butler in her house or something. I can't even remember, but this is not, like, I've seen a lot of people try and pretend as if Divya Khosla Kumar is for the people. I can promise you this woman is not for the people. This woman is for herself, and she is insane.
Yeah. Sujoy, did you find the movie, or what were you Googling?
Yeah, the next 3 days.
Next 3 days, yeah. I knew something about the day. Yeah, okay, cool. What do you guys feel of Vedang Raina in this? That's another, we haven't talked about him yet. I really liked him because it's his second movie, and he is, again, we talk about masculinity a lot, right? Like, I think there is something about taking on a role which is kind of less alpha than, he lets Alia be the alpha, right? In this movie, like, she is the protector. He's the one that needs to be protected. And I think that's for a young actor to take on that role, it's kind of cool. But on the other hand, he's also playing a character that does stand up for what's right and what should be, even to his own detriment in this movie. So he has that balance where he is being a hero, but he is also being kind of the one that's being cheated, that's one being put in a position, not only with Alia, but also with his cousin, where we know that's going to go badly for him, but he still has the faith where I think Alia's character, because she's the protector, she knows what the family is, and she says, we are not family, we are servants. And she makes it clear at least 3 or 4 times. People are saying at the wedding sequence, oh, but beta, we're family, get ready, wear your proper clothes. But she knows her position in the family, and she makes it very clear. Whereas this, where Vedang Raina, he still believes in, oh, they will fund my idea and they will, put me in that position to succeed, when that was never going to be the case. Even if they worked that pitch, the cousin would have become the CEO, and he would become like a low level employee, that kind of thing. But he hasn't figured that out yet, where Alia is very clear in what's going on here.
I mean, he's been brought up with this protective motherly figure, not just a sister. No, so his universe is he lives in that bubble of protection around him. That's why he's allowed to grow up as naturally as possible, as a protected human being should, grow up with a familiar parental love that Alia's character gives him. And whereas Alia, the moment that she witnesses the death of her father, she instantly grows up into this, like, she ages instantly to raise her own brother, and that's her own family. So there's a different maturity in the way both these characters grow into.
Amrita, Vedang Raina, next superstar coming?
Absolutely. Like, I love him. But also, he's very much styled in the vein of Ranveer in this film. Like, there's, like, very much the way that he carries himself, the way he's presented. all of that seems very like Ranveer-ish to the
I think there's
point.
a physical similarity also. I just
Yeah,
do
there
think,
is.
and I found this in Archie too. I do think
Yeah.
they just have a very kind of like physical similarity to both of them. Yeah.
But yeah, if they want to make a movie where the two of them are playing brothers, like that would be awesome. Like, like I think he actually could stand up to Ranveer on screen, and that's not something that a lot of actors, yet young actors, can say.
Yeah. I mean, this movie is also like a very classic heist movie setup, right? So there's three elements. There's getting the crew together. Then there's the planning of the heist, and then there's the heist itself. So I wanted to kind of break those parts down with you guys, because I think Amrita, you're saying you preferred the planning and the heist part, and then the heist wasn't really working as well for you, right?
Yes. So I think like when the heist part happened, this is a movie that is fundamentally uninterested in the heist part. Like, that is not where the heart of this movie lies, right? This movie is much more interested in what makes these people tick. Whether it's the jailer, whether it's the co conspirators, whether it's the brother and sister, their friends. It really wants to give each of these characters their time in the sun. So when it comes to the actual like jailbreak thing and the way they sort of tie in the whole political aspect of it, it was just very like I didn't really care about that part of it.
Neither did Vasan Bala.
Yeah, it was like very, like, yes, we need to get over this hump so that we can get to the other side. Like, it just kind of felt very perfunctory. So, yeah, that was my problem.
Sujoy?
I mean, I have a problem with
because you said to me you liked the heist. Like when we were watching it, it was interval, and I said, "Oh, Amrita liked the first part and less the second part," and you were the opposite. That you said, "I like the second part a lot." So I thought,
yeah, probably because the stakes were high at that point, right? Everything was failing, and that's why I felt like I was moved by the high stakes environment and the adrenaline of that whole sequence and how it's beautifully shot. The whole smokes, the grenades, and the whole thing. But like going back and looking it from a zoomed out perspective, the crew coming together, too convenient. They didn't bother about there is a point where Bhatia Saab and Satya, they talk about we have to figure out what's Muthu's story, and Bhatia Saab just narrates Muthu's story to Satya just conveniently.
It's also the fact that the only three Indians there are, those are going to be involved in the heist. That's also just
all the Chinese people need to do is just follow the Indians around, and they would know exactly what's up.
Yeah, and I as much as I love Manoj Pawar in this and their chemistry, Manoj Pawar as the gangster, I need to know a little bit more about him and what his resources can get through, so that I can get behind the idea that this man can pull some sort of stunts, in this. And why hasn't he acted before? Why is he being, coming to burn Chinese lanterns now? Why is he being such as at the sympathy of the audience when he's actually a gangster and he could go to any lengths? And then the actual, the two parts of the heist that they were being planned, the plan A and plan B or whatever from both ends. Again, like this movie picks up some subplot and tries to go with it and then just drops the ball every 10 minutes after that. For example, the Ryan character, which was supposedly the main protagonist with the prison break from the inside, his story is just dropped and never to be mentioned again of what role he plays. And like there's points where we get to see so many days remaining for the prison for them to be executed for each of the characters, and then there is weirdly no like rush. It just this one sort of dragon fest that comes across as the day to count down to. So yeah, it all those things did not add up, and then the actual heist happens, which also feels very rushed in a way. Like none of the plans. When a heist scene happens in a movie like this, you get to see like a foreshadowing of the events which they're trying to imagine, like this is how the heist is going to go, and it doesn't work out to plan. That's the actual formula, right? This fails and then this happens, but it's very muddled up, I think, when I look back at it, and it's not as clear how it plays out. And also like the role of the jailer, why is he so much invested personally in executing these people? What these four people mean to him so much?
I think like that was probably, yeah, like this movie is 2.5 hours long.
Yeah.
It should not have been 2.5 hours long. But given that they had 2.5 hours long, they should have spent a little bit more time with the jailer, because that was like a very interesting performance.
Yeah.
And it was a very interesting character. And also it's a very real character. You know, that part where Vedang Raina's character keeps saying, "Oh, you're Indian," like, you know, he's trying to like make that connection. And he says, "I am not Indian."
Yeah.
You know, he's like, "My grandfather came here and like I'm very much like, you know, I belong to this place." That is a conversation that I'm very familiar with. Not that I was going up to like random Malaysians or Singaporeans and being like, "Hey, are you Indian?" But like that is a sentiment that I understand. And also like that character, like I know what drives that character, and that character's loyalty to that land, which is just his need to prove his identity and that he belongs there, right? Like that is what keeps driving. But then they basically pull all of that into his last monologue, like when he's on that boat and he's just like, "You defiled my prison, you took away my honor." Like it just comes out of like nowhere.
Yeah.
They don't build it up, and they don't give him that space, which is especially stark because all the other characters have had that space to like grow into it. And because this guy is like the big bad, he's like he's like the Terminator when he's like fighting those three boys until like Alia comes out of nowhere. But yeah, and I think
But
like
also that doesn't make sense in a way when they escape out of the execution room through the roof. How the hell are these three boys, and why are they bringing the jailer to the roof? Or is the jailer the one
they don't
carrying the
know.
three?
He follows them.
He follows them. They
Okay.
run upstairs. They like go up and they escape while
Okay.
Alia is trying to get to them through the prison. And then he follows them onto the rooftop and he's basically trying to kill them. And then
Right.
Alia discovers them on the roof.
By the way, I think the actor is named Vivek Gomber, if I'm not mistaken. He's a guy from Sir. Ace dialect work also. Like I just want to point out the accent is so good.
So good. I somebody was telling me that people were apparently making fun of it and being like, "Oh, it's so inauthentic." I have no idea what the heck they're talking about.
So authentic.
No. So authentic, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of points that your guys are bringing up here is the issues that I had with this movie too. Is that the writing of the kind of the first draft or the script or the points they want to hit are very well etched out, but it's that connective tissue every time that like they haven't maybe needed one more rewrite, or it hasn't been fully cooked yet, needed more marination. And I think every time there's these moments where I was like, I'm missing that part. And clearly you can say Vasan Bala loves his masala movies, but I don't know if he's capable of making a masala movie. There's a certain skill set you need to be a Farah Khan, you need to be that kind of. And both clearly the references he's putting in, and he's even saying we're not making a masala movie, but clearly you also are, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think there's moments like I think
Because
definitely
whilst you are making a grounded in reality movie about some sort of a tragedy that could happen in person for a real person in real time, it's also taking that flight of imagination, right? When in the climax, out of nowhere, in an open ocean, this big Malaysian ship just enters out of nowhere and shoots at these enemies. That's a big leap of imagination and faith that is thrust upon the audience to believe that, oh, this ship came out of nowhere and the villain is dead now. Uh,
The ship is though like that's Muthu's friend.
yeah, I know,
yeah.
but it's out of nowhere. Like in the open sea, किसी ने नहीं देखा, झाड़ी में छुपा था. And
But
also
also
like,
they plant an east.
yeah, no, go ahead.
Go ahead, go ahead.
No, like the
No, they
prison is on
planted
the island, right? Sorry, Asim, go ahead.
Yeah. No, you go. You have a lag. That's why I was talking over you. There's a little lag on your end.
Yeah.
So go ahead. The prison, what?
The prison is on an island. Like all of a sudden, these cops come out of nowhere, and like when the prison break happens and all of that. Like physically, I think there is a few loopholes that I think take away the illusion.
I have less of a problem of the loopholes in the logic, because I feel when you're making a kind of action movies, we give grace to these kind of things to a lot of degree. So the mechanics of it matters less. For me, it's the writing of the kind of the etching out that I have more issues with. So for example, the villain you've mentioned, right? Like there was a moment initially when Vedang Raina is coming in and he's speaking to him in Hindi. I thought that was a moment where that's where he was showing his allegiance to the state. And then there was be a moment where he was saying, no, I have to be this person, I have to be stricter. But that moment was never there. And I needed that in storytelling. Then also like this trap door, this door of the souls that they have. They mention it a few times, but again, I needed a little bit more. Why is that important? Why does it shut open? Can you escape that way? They plant the seed of Muthu's friend being motivated by money, and they say, oh, we're not sure if he's going to show up at the end. But I don't feel that they pay off that Easter egg that they planned early on in the thing, right? The other thing that I also missed is that like Alia is like this Jason Statham kind of fixer for this family, right? Black suit and all.
Handler.
But that family never gets its the family never gets its comeuppance. And for me, those were maybe the bigger villains than these people, you know? And those, she just kind of like, yeah, aag lag gayi office mein, and that's it, we've moved on. But it feels like they've been torturing Alia and embarrassing and denigrating her for like all of her life, you know? And this was kind of the last straw. And I feel that also needed. There was also just they add an element of these revolution. You know, and I don't know if it's again supposed to be Chinese revolution. I think there are hints, but they don't mention it. But again, that goes really nowhere. There were two moments where I really thought where that idea of he loves masala movie and he can't make them. It was one simple one. How underwhelming the interval was. I don't know if you guys felt it, but the interval suddenly happened and it suddenly started. The movie started again, and the interval needs to end on a high in Bollywood filmmaking.
Or on a low. Like it needs to be something that is very emotional, you know, like that's how your traditional interval happens. So I kept waiting for that to happen. Like I was just like, oh, like what is going to go wrong? Like something is going to go catastrophically wrong, or else something like amazing is going to happen. And then it didn't, and I was very taken aback.
And the second half also doesn't start with like a pull, like, oh my God, we're back into it, something. And I think that's where Hindi filmmaking, these are certain things that Hindi filmmaking needs. It needs an interval. It needs like a big ending. And I think there's always just this pushback where Vasan Bala is saying, I'm not making a masala movie. But you are making a masala movie, right? So I think that's where the push and pull lies in Jigra for me. And I think these are just minuscule criticism in overall for a really, really good movie. So I did want to point these out because they just stood out to me. I really liked the movie, but I wanted to love it. This could have been like a classic that we watch, and especially because of Alia's performance, which is just like towering. I was just watching it and who is at this level, right? Who is at this level and who is getting these chances to be on this level? It has to be both things, right? And there's been a whole Twitter thread lately about how Alia has been snatching roles from everybody. I don't know if you saw that, Amrita, if you saw that, Sujoy.
I have like very strong feelings about that kind of shit because like I know what they're trying to say. They're trying to say that she's an industry plant and that she's basically hate criming all her peers. But I don't think that is necessarily true. Like I'm not even like a giant Alia stan, but I think if you want to operate at that level, and Alia's been very clear from the beginning, like there's something that I mentioned in the Kareena essay, which is that starting with Kareena, really we have that first generation of actresses who openly want to be successful and who are not pretending that their careers happened to them. They work for it and they work damn hard for it. And Alia is basically using all the levers that she has at her disposal to create the kind of career that she wants. And obviously, it is really maddening to a lot of people because she has all these connections and she has this network. She's a third generation Bollywood person. Her father, her grandfather, her mother, they were all in the industry. Obviously, she knows the people in the movies who are making the movies at a level that, say, a Radhika Madan wouldn't know, right? And she uses that to her advantage. She uses all the things that she can to, succeed. And I don't know. I feel like it's 2024 and we really should stop hating on women for having ambition.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think it's not helpful that Alia just has a very unlikable personality. And she doesn't know when to shut up.
She can't be a girl's girl. That's the problem she has, right?
Yeah. And she can't even pretend. And she's just, and the way that she says things, I think she thinks she's coming off as very self-effacing and like charming, and it's very funny, but she just sounds like a total twat like the whole time. You're just like this dripping with like privilege. It's the same problems that Sonam Kapoor had, like, oh, ha ha ha, it's so funny, I poop diamonds, like it's just like I just can't stand it. It's just that it's a different variety, but it's the same sort of issues that I think Sonam Kapoor had, which you just come from so much privilege that you just can't be relatable to the people who are your audience. The difference, of course, between Sonam and Alia is that Alia is just a phenomenal actress. So you can't even just like hate on her for being bad at her work, because she is not. She is very good at the work that she does. So I think people need to be better about separating the fact that they don't necessarily like her or they don't find her personality appealing, and shitting on her because she is good at her job and she's willing to do whatever it takes to get the career that she wants.
I was going through those threads, and I was saying, you honestly, you would never level this criticism towards a man, like taking these roles and this. This is such and a lot of it is fueled because she's not Deepika, or she's not, and clearly these are fan wars speaking, there's a bit of competition going on, and there's no bigger fan than Katrina Kaif than me here, but there was a thing where she snatched Der Zindagi from Katrina Kaif, and I was like, thank God. I love Katrina, but I do not want to see her in Der Zindagi. Alia did a great job, right? So yeah, I just thought it was fascinating to see like this kind of, and this is really like internet discourse that affects nobody whatsoever, but it's such a microcosm of the conversation sometimes going on, right? And it does affect people, because I think it doesn't affect a lot of audiences, but it does affect Alia. These things do reach them, and I don't understand what the point of it is. Like, what are you trying to, say? It is not constructive in whatsoever. In what, and also the sense of privilege that she has and whatnot. And she was Mahesh Bhatt's daughter, right? It's not like Mahesh Bhatt is like some superstar director filmmaker. And again, we've seen the launches of Sunny Deols, we've seen the launches of Abhishek Kapoor, we've seen the launches of Hrithik Roshan. These were star launches. Ananya Pandey and Alia Bhatt were not on that level of nepotism. They never were. So they have to shine through with their hard work and their grafts and their talent. And nobody's just giving away these projects, right? They're giving them away because they think they would work. And I think with Alia, she's a crowd puller. So yeah.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't like. So what if she, snatched these roles in her favor? She can deliver on it. Like, I am very much willing to see her on screen rather than Divya Khosla, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But there's also this controversy about.
No, sorry.
There's also this controversy of, I think, written by our friend Justin Rao, who wrote on Indian Express about Dharma not having any press releases anymore because they often
press
have
screenings,
been,
you mean?
Yeah. There's often been criticism around influencers being posed as critics and being paid to either say negative about a movie or really positive reactions so that audiences can get pulled, and all these paid reviews things. So Dharma has completely opted out of it. I think Yash Raj has done it before, and how it may affect the actual critics who don't have enough time now to work around the writing of review and publishing it before the audiences can make up their mind whether they should invest their time into watching this movie or not.
I got a invite to a press screening for Jigra, and it was the same time that it was out in. Actually, I saw it earlier than the press screening. To be honest, we saw it at 4:00, and the press screening was 7 or 8 in town. So I was like, why should I even bother going into town?
Yeah.
It takes hours, and then I could just go watch it in my local theater at 5 minutes away. So it was just like and they made like a whole thing about it. They made a statement where so many other studios wouldn't even bother. And there's also just the idea that Dharma is under financial strain and they're probably selling a majority stake in the studio. And it does make me sad because I think they are a good studio trying to do a lot of good work, right? And if that even can't work in our current sphere, economical capitalism hellhole that we're in, like, then what can work,
Man,
it's a
Brahmastra
shame.
really did a number on them, right?
Yeah. Any other small moments from Jigra that you want to point out that kind of stood out for you? You're like, oh, this was so cool. I kind of screamed when the poster shot happened, when she's in the middle of the street and the dragon is. I was like, love that shot. That was such a cool one. I love her running down the stairs after she shot the jailer in the back of her head, and she's just running and smoke is billowing off of her clothes. It's such a cool hero shot.
The cinematography in this movie is just off the charts. The transitions, the framing, like everything is just poetic. And I haven't seen that in a Bollywood movie in a very long time. It's just, or if I do see it, I see it in something like Sanjay Leela Bhansali, who's just like sort of creating posters and paintings.
I was visually disgusted when you said sorry.
But this one, it was fresh, it was new, it was a proper movie. Like whatever its shortcomings, I am delighted that I spent my money to watch this.
I literally screamed at the Rambo shot where she pushes Muthu off the cliff and they freeze in the air, and then she falls and she hits every tree, which is clearly a reference to Rambo, 100% First Blood. But it was like, I screamed when that shot. I was like, oh my God. Sujoy, you were next to me when I was screaming. Any shots that stood out? Any moments that stood out for you?
I like everything to do with Bhatia Saab really hit for me. Like I really enjoyed that character so much that I want to know like what Bhatia Saab did in his Jawani, and he was like, karma. It's karma that this is happening to my son. I want to know what Bhatia Saab did in his youth, but also like the whole Bachchan references throughout the movie. Bachchan nahi banna hai, bach ke nikalna hai, and the Zanjeer references with Chakku Churiya, and obviously at the end Yari Hai Iman Mera playing. It's a bit on the nose, but I totally get it why you would do that. It's really fun, and obviously the final lines of Bhatia Saab saying, tiger hai main, tiger. Like where would Manoj Pawar get to play a role like this? Like, other than in the Vasan Bala movie. I'm really happy for him that he's getting this. It was fantastic.
What a line, ab to bachcha nahi banna hai. Like, that is such a line. I was like, I was clapping when I heard her deliver that. I really liked it. I think we all liked Jigra, right? Like, I think we're all very quite positive on it. I'm thinking if there's anything else. Sujoy, you want to tell how you lost money?
So whilst the movie was...
Your embarrassment should continue, I feel like.
Okay, fine. So we went to watch this movie with our friend Papu Charu, and she sort of claimed that the cameo when they just before Vedang Raina's Ankur character gets arrested, they race on the car, and the girl who is in the other car who flips them is Radhika Madan. And I was like, that is no way that's Radhika Madan. And Asim also was like, no, that doesn't look like Radhika Madan. And I got really hyped up, and I was like, no, that is definitely not Radhika Madan. So Papu Charu bet 10 pounds on it, and I was like, yep, I'm up for it, and I lost.
I wish I was also there to take your money.
But I haven't. I was gonna PayPal it to her, and Asim was like, no, there must be an exchange of cash, and you must look her in the eyes as you bow down in shame.
No, but you know what I want to know is, I know Sikandar Kher and Abhimanyu Dasani were also here. Who were they? I can't remember.
So Sikandar Kher was the guy who they're going to pitch to in Hanshi. He was wearing an Amitabh Bachchan wig as the financial guru. I don't know where Abhimanyu Dasani
was when Alia crashes the car. He's the inmate that's holding the knife against the throat, where he's standing on the other side of the fence. That was him, and which is a funny callback because in Monica, Oh My Darling, they were also both Abhimanyu and Radhika Madan also had a cameo in there. But the other question I had is, the rich people house, is that the Andaz Apna Apna house?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
it's
then I lost a bet to Papu Charu.
Because I saw her coming down the stairs, and I was just like, oh my God, like I had that visual thing. I was like, it's that house from Mud Island that every 90s movie was shot at.
I was because it's really changed. And I was like, wow, they've really upgraded the interior, because all throughout the 90s we've seen it in the exact same layout. And Papu Charu was saying, though, that's that house. And I was like, yeah, maybe then. But I wasn't 100% sure. But I was like, yeah, I'll throw it here if it's that house or not.
I immediately, that was one of the things that made me immediately fall in love with this movie, because I was just like, no, he got to that house. It's been so long since we've seen that house, you know?
अपना ही घर है अभी तो अपना ही घर है
I love it.
But those are those little film nerd references that he puts in, like even calling the villain Hans Raj Landa, like it is on the nose, but it's so cool that he still does it, like it's he loves these movies clearly, and it shows in Jigra. Well, it's gonna be, we saw the logo, so it's gonna be available on Netflix. You will regret at home when it comes out that you have not seen this in theaters. So I'm just letting you know. I think when this episode drops, you might still have a day or two to watch it. If you are on Patreon, you will get this earlier. So you definitely have time to watch it. Subscribe to Patreon for $1 and you can catch earlier episodes. And I recorded a really cool reel. I thought it was cool. I did like a little bit of editing and all that. I spent the day at the BBC playing head judge for the Ultimate Naughties playlist, which is all of the songs from the 2000s, the first decade of the 2000s, and I made like a back BTS kind of video of it, and I then also made a playlist of all of the songs we picked on YouTube. So it's there. I'll add it to this episode too. You can go to the SoundClouds and hear my appearance, but if you want to hear the whole story, it's on Patreon. From $1 you can join and get access to that kind of extra content. Sujoy, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at 93K, and you can follow Khandaan Podcast on all our socials at Khandaan Podcast.
Amrita?
You can find me on Twitter at AmritaIQ, and keep your eye open for the Kareena essay that goes up on our YouTube this week.
I'm at Asim Bernie. Drop us an email at youpodcasting@gmail.com. And thank you for listening. And we'll be back with a new episode.